I am going to shuffle this deck of cards. I'm using the Osho Zen Tarot.
I'm in a mess. Blueberry wine.
I don't even drink, by the way, but he gave me a sip, and it's good. Hi, it's Leia. Welcome to this episode of Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life. Today, my significant other and I invite you to join us for dinner. This is Josh. You might remember him from the love talks that I posted. Well, I didn't post them. They were actually live. We had live love talks that were on this channel a long time ago.
So what is this we are doing here today?
We are eating Chinese food. You want to show them what you got?
I've got myself some delicious vegetable lo mein. And my favorite for as long as I can remember, General Tso's chicken with some white rice, of course, to go along with it.
Here, I'll put these away so that they don't get in our way. And I'm having sesame tofu. And veggie fried rice. So, this is gonna be a chatty video. The topic for today is, I've never done anything like this before, so, I'm so focused on speaking. But okay, you can grab your own food too, by the way.
Please take a seat and join us.
For those of you who haven't met him yet, Josh is, well, one of the things he does is he's a love and dating coach, love, dating, relationship coach. So, what we are going to talk about today is how to start dating again. Josh is going to give us 5 pointers, certain things that maybe you want to implement now or give some thought to.
So, what are 5 things you can do to start dating again? Well, the first thing you can do is get out there in one way or another. Whether it's a meetup, whether it's going even out to the bar, old school style, getting out there one way or another is essential. But personally, I recommend online dating.
Do you want to tell us why?
Well, the reason online dating is better than all those other options, and don't get me wrong, you might get lucky in those other options, but online is where you find the numbers. You go to a bar, you have a couple hundred people. How many of those are actually, well, looking for you? Or even looking for anybody for that matter. Online, you get to screen, and you get a huge variety.
I was going to say too, by the way, that there will also be a 1-card tarot reading for anybody who's looking to start dating again. But right now, yeah, let's hear what else Josh has to say.
So having an online dating profile. The reason to have this is simply to make you available to other people. Dating is like fishing, and you're not going to catch any fish if you don't have the hook in the water, so to speak. By having a dating profile, you are allowing the fish to come and peck at your bait.
Let's address really quickly that concern that has come up a lot for you with the people that you work with or people who know what you do. They're worried that there are a lot more horrible matches online because of previous experience, or they think that, oh, I can't really see them, so I can't judge immediately whether this is someone that I even want to meet up with. Can you address that?
So, are there a lot more as you said it, mismatches online.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are.
Really?
But there's also way more people that you're potentially compatible with. That's what happens when you're dealing with, rather than a couple potential mates that you could find at a bar or even a meetup versus online. There are going to be a lot of people that you're not compatible with, but you're also exposing yourself to those that you could be compatible with. Whereas, again, at the bar scenario, there might not be a single one there. And even if there is, how do you know which person that is?
Because personally, for me, as an introvert, I prefer online dating because there's a strategy, by the way, to making it work better for you. Sometimes the attraction online is different from
The
how it
chemical
is.
attraction.
Yeah, when you meet in person.
Pheromones are a thing. I have fallen in love and clicked with at least half a dozen, if not a dozen, different women. And then either they ghosted or when we met, it just wasn't there.
I totally disagree whether there's more mismatches. No.
Sure there are.
Than in person? Versus in person?
Well, I mean, if you think of it as just the amount of numbers that there are out there, sure, there's if you go from having 20 people to 1,000 people, there are going to be more mismatches in there. But to be clear, there's also way more. The percentage of matches is still higher. You know, so I'm just saying the numbers as in if you take 1,000 and 300 of those are mismatches, well, you go to the bar and there's only 300 people there. You know, the numbers, there's still going to be a lot of mismatches. But online, it's not. Online, you get to screen. And that's the number one thing. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to lie to you. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to try to take advantage of you. But that happens anywhere. But at least online, you can give them the Q&A until you're comfortable enough to take it past exchanging messages. And then you can establish where it is you meet them if you get to that point. And then you never have to see them again. You know, versus you randomly meet someone somewhere and who knows, that's their territory. That is somewhere that they've been looking for people. So the possibility of someone actually being able to trick you and get you, I feel, is more likely going out into their haunts versus you screen them, you go through all their questions, you know, and you pick where you meet them and you establish how you get there and how you go. It is safer.
Yeah, and there's a lot that can be said. It's a full course in and of itself. Online dating, how to make it work better for you and find better matches. But yeah, in a little bit of a nutshell, that's it.
So point number 2 is about not making comparisons. One of my clients right now often likes to talk about how when they review profiles of people of their same sex, they don't think they are up to par to the extra hot or the extra tall or the seemingly extra rich or buff or whatever. The thing about comparisons is it is irrelevant who wants sexy Chuck or gorgeous Donna or athletic Pat or whomever it is because they're not you. You're looking for someone who wants you. Whether you are a stay-at-home, whether you work at a gas station, whether you're a rocket scientist, whether you're whatever. When you make comparisons, you're looking away from who you are and looking at somebody else that, for whatever reason, you may deem might be higher on the ladder than you. But the thing is, the person you're looking for, you are the top of the ladder. You are the prize.
They might not be interested at all in what that person has going for them. So it doesn't matter. Totally and completely irrelevant.
You know, you may feel insecure about the person that hits the gym 5 days a week, and you meet somebody who wants to have the body of someone who doesn't hit the gym 5 days a week. You know?
Yeah.
Dad bods are sexy. You know? Women that have had babies are sexy. You know? And if you're one of them and the person doesn't like you, then they're clearly not your match.
There's gonna be people who find that sexy. Sure, it might not be sexy to certain people because they have their own preferences, but the right person for you, not only will they not mind, that's what they're looking for. Or they don't even see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they see other parts of you that they totally love, and that's no biggie.
Mm-hmm. Well, because oftentimes, I feel, if you're struggling with thinking you're good enough for somebody else, then the issue really doesn't have anything to do with those other people you're comparing with or the potential mates. It has to do with the self-love that you feel for yourself. Because more often than not, when I'm, like with this client I'm working with right now, one of their biggest issues is they keep on devaluing things in their lives that I personally think are value. They have kids. There are a lot of wonderful, amazing people that want to find a mate that has kids. They have a house that they own. Oh my God, it's not a mansion. A lot of people think it's really hot to have someone who owns a house. They got a full-time job. Oh my God, are they a doctor? No, they're not. But not everybody's looking for a doctor. You know, you don't have to be a doctor. The fact that you're a loving parent, you have your own house, you have a stable job right there alone is way more than a lot of people have. Outside of the fact that, are you a kind and loving individual? Because oftentimes that's one of the biggest things that people fail to acknowledge within themselves. They keep looking at superficial traits.
So before we move on to point number 3, I am going to shuffle this deck of cards. I'm using the Osho Zen Tarot.
Oh, I made a mess.
Nah, it's because he got it on my notebook. I don't mind that it got on the table. He got it on my notebook. As I was saying, I am using the Osho Zen Tarot, which, if you've seen my older videos, you might recognize as one of the decks that I really enjoy using. So, I'm going to shuffle this deck, and I am going to give a 1-card reading with food for thought to anyone who's in a similar situation, who's thinking about starting to date again. Just some points to ponder here. Let's pick this one right here. It is intensity. Okay, so my question for you is, what does finding a mate mean to you? How much are you really willing to put into it? And the reason I ask this is because sometimes people say, I want it more than anything in the world. But then they find out that there are certain things that they have to do. There's certain work that they have to do in order to get what they say they want. And they're not willing to do it. For example, when some people have a conversation with Josh about this subject, how to start dating again, or they've been looking for someone for a very long time and haven't found anyone. And then Josh tells them, we can get laser clear about what you're looking for, and you get to know yourself better as well. And there are a few exercises. Many of those people react. How would you say they react?
The consistency is that they have this idea that somehow they're supposed to be experts at dating already.
Yeah, there's embarrassment among some people that they haven't found love on their own, or they don't know how to maintain a relationship on their own. And this is something, I mean, the field of relationships is something that I think humans are challenged in, period. Even those of us who have studied relationships or are better acquainted with ourselves, like we do personal development work and all that, inner growth work, it's challenging no matter what. So all the more if you don't really have an idea what you want. So yeah, back to the message of that card. how much of yourself, are you willing to truly put into this endeavor instead of expecting it to just, that relationship to just fall in your lap. Then some people expect it to last or to be perfect, and if it's not, there must be something wrong with them. When doing work on oneself and doing work on the relationship makes a huge difference. Can make a huge difference. Because sometimes you do discover that, yeah, I don't want to be with that person after all. But see, there's clarity there because you put the work in.
I mean, may I pose the question, what in life are you great at that you haven't practiced? Is there anything? And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of you that might be like, I'm great at this, I'm great at that. Well, sure, you might have a natural talent, and some people in dating also do have that natural talent. But how much better would it be if you studied? How much better would it be if you went to school for it? Someone who's naturally good at music is always going to be better when they go take music lessons. So even if you happen to have great charisma and don't have issues finding dates, if you find you're struggling with staying in relationships, there's a piece that's missing. If you want to get stronger, you see a personal trainer. If you want to excel in school, you get yourself a tutor. But relationships, which are often considered the most important thing in somebody's life, for some reason, you have to do that alone.
People sometimes scoff. If you didn't hear because I was chewing, I didn't say cough. I said scoff. At the thought or idea that someone can help them. Even if you don't turn to a dating coach, there is work required for a relationship to last, so that you're not just projecting onto your partner or snapping at them and then you expect that the relationship lasts even if you're not doing your part. So yeah, it does take work. Alrighty. That was the one card reading. Let's move on to point number 3, which is all about red flags.
So, I'm going to guess that a lot of you here are familiar with the concept of, putting on your mask when you meet new people to some extent or another. Putting forward your best foot. Putting forward your best face. That's great and all. But more often than not, that's not you. So when I talk about being available to reveal red flags, is understanding that if you get into an intimate relationship, and for example, I've dealt with clinical depression for a long time in my life. She knew about it probably before we even met for the first time. Why? Because it was going to come out at some point. I knew that, I've known for a long time that, when I'm feeling pressured by my trauma and stuff like that, or just in general, I can be a pain in the butt sometimes. I can be high maintenance. And I remember telling this one that I can be really high maintenance, and she's like, you don't seem like you're high maintenance. And I just told her honestly, just wait. And when it eventually came out, we laughed about it. We laughed about it because I told her about it. It wasn't this mystery that I was trying to hide from her because I didn't want her to reject me. Because what is the point of hiding core traits about yourself? They're going to come out at some point. Statistically, quote me on this or not, but relationships have this 9 to 14 month period where the things that we thought were cute stop being cute and the mask starts to come off. And at that point, if you've made it to that point, relationships often break because realities about who you are and who they are come out and they're deal breakers. Another one was, I told her immediately I wanted children.
I was actually going to say that if he didn't.
Because it's like, if you wait a year in a relationship and you don't talk about having children, well, there's maybe a 50-50% chance that it might turn out bad, because if it's really important to you and it's not important to them, that's a deal breaker. But by immediately listing, I've dealt with depression. I have some trauma. I want children. I'm into sports and I want someone who does that. Or I'm into music and I want someone who does that. That's important to me. By stating those things, when someone reads that, either they're going to say, I'm familiar with this and I would like to move forward with this, or they're going to move on. And that saves you time, money, effort, energy, stress. Being just honest. And that doesn't mean throw everything out there, but there are big things, and it's better to get them out and screen immediately than to have a 2-year relationship where you're like, oh my goodness, I spent 2 years with this person who I can't stand because I did not know about these things, or they can't stand these things about me because I didn't tell them about them.
We use the term red flags just to give you an idea, but of course not all of these things are red flags. It's basically being honest about things that truly matter to you, or things that it matters that this person who's going to potentially be your partner, they know.
So try to remember that, for one, what's a red flag to you could also be a turn on to someone else. So just being honest, outside of screening the people you don't want, it will also help draw in the people that you do want. Someone with mental health issues very likely is not going to want to be with someone who's never dealt with mental health issues, because they're not going to be able to empathize for them. And vice versa, someone who doesn't have mental health issues very likely does not want to be with someone who does have mental health issues, unless they've expressed that that is something that, they are into.
Or they're okay with.
Or okay with, yeah.
Yeah, no, because I'm just thinking. I mean, there's all kinds in this world. But yeah, but I'm really into someone with mental health issues.
Well, like doctors, for instance. There's a reason
Sure,
why,
absolutely.
and psychologists, they might not necessarily come from trauma, but something happened to them for them to be like, I want to dedicate my life to helping people.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. That's why I was keeping my mind open to it, but I was musing over what possibilities there could be in my head. But absolutely, that makes sense. Alright, so point number 4 is to go for someone who can be your friend.
Yes, this is huge. So I've been on so many dates where within the first half an hour, the individual's like, oh, I don't see you as necessarily being a husband material or whatever like that, while not even looking at the possibility of, could we even be friends? So the idea of being friends is, to be a lover is a step beyond being a friend. So if you can't be friends with someone, if you don't think you can get along and talk about random stuff for the rest of your life, that's not likely to be your mate. Because as, well, an ex once told me, no matter how attractive you are, in the end you're going to get old, you're going to get flabby, and what else do you have but your connection and your communication? And if that person is not your friend, and that relationship is based on merely physical attraction and sex, it has a deadline. Whereas if you can establish that they are your friend and you're attracted to them, there's potential of moving forward.
Yeah, because it's very easy in those early months or weeks to get carried away by the attraction. But then after that, what next, right? Point number 5 is to remember that it's all a numbers game.
So as we already addressed this a little bit earlier, even if you are Brad Pitt, or pick anybody who you feel as being ridiculously attractive and shouldn't have issues getting dates, just because you can get the date doesn't mean it's a compatible mate. You can go on 10 dates a week And you could still date 50 people before you have someone that you think you want to go on that second date. And even more before you find someone that you might want to actually be in a relationship with. So, rather than allowing discouragement because, oh, I really like this person and they didn't call me back or whatever, take each and every single date as an opportunity to help understand yourself better and what you want. Because every little step increases the percentage that the next person is a suitable mate. It's all percentage games. There is no black and white. There is no yes or no. There is no she's right, he's right, they're right, whomever's right. It's about trying to understand what you want and being able to recognize that in another and move forward with that.
Besides, you can take it as it just wasn't the right person or it wasn't the right time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a reflection of, oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with you. It's not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, in some cases, yes, there might be a lot to work on, but in many cases, I think that people who are expressing this dissatisfaction with not being able to find someone no matter how many dates they go on, it's because it is a numbers game, and so you've just been meeting the people that aren't right for you. It doesn't mean, that you should give up.
Mm-hmm.
You just haven't met someone who's
right. And the more you screen, the more potential dates you're going to go through before you settle, but that's a good thing. Because if you don't do the proper screening, once again, then you're going to end up in a relationship that 9 months, a year, a marriage, kids, later you realize, why did I do this? I knew from day one that there was something not right about this, but they showed interest in me. I moved forward with it. I was hoping I could make it work. You shouldn't have to hope to make it work. Everything's going to ebb and flow, but if it's going to work, you're going to see it gradually working. You shouldn't have to overly fight it. There are times where you do have to grit your teeth and one person may need to be the rock while the other person's struggling, but in general, it should be progressively getting better. It is a graph. It will go up and down, but you shouldn't have to force it.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was interesting, maintaining the balance of eating and having a discussion. But yeah, do give it a like if you enjoyed it, and we are going to be doing more of this in all likelihood.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Stay tuned for more Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life.